2022 at 4:05 p.m. I call the meeting to order. Item number 2, consider a request from the fire department to approve the requisition of 6 firefighters. Chief Eckes.
Thank you. I give you a couple pieces of data. The first one is the same one, anybody that was here for the HR meeting last month, it's the same one. It's a data of all the calls through August 13th of that one. So what that's given you is the average run time for each area that we've gone to for that 6 months and 13 days. So I know there was questions on times of it. So I wanted to make sure that you had the information that let you know how much time we spend on each of those calls. Like I said in HR is, the time we spend on scene doesn't change a whole lot. Anybody with chest pain is going to get the same amount of time on scene. The difference is the travel there and the travel back. So any questions on it? And to explain it, it's got the number of runs for that period. Jay had a good question, what's that on like the Armenia, Arkdale, Necedah, there's 5 total runs in that period. There was 7 hours and 55 minutes total of all 5 of those runs. So the average is the average time in service to the right. Realize that those Armenia, Arkdale, and Necedah runs are mutual aid calls from mutual aid partners down there that they didn't have a rig or they were already out, on 2 calls. So we have that mutual aid contract with them, and they do the same thing for us. So they'll come up here at a request if we need to. Matter of fact, we just used them last Friday for that training we had with our firefighters. They come up and sat in the city, both of them in Camp Douglas, for 5 hours, so we could keep all our firefighters in that mental health training that we had scheduled. So it's a payback back and forth. So any questions on that one? So anybody that was here at the HR committee meeting last month, I gave a report just like the overlapping calls data search there for August. This is the one for September. This tells you how many times we were paged out and we already had 1 or 2 or 3 other pieces of apparatus out. That could be an ambulance, that could be fire truck, it could be whatever. If you look at that, I believe there was 88 times through the month. We would have had 2, 3, or 4, and in some instances 5 pieces of apparatus all out at once. If you look at how many times there were single dispatches, means that in the month of August, I think we were at 56% of the 56% in August of the time. When we got dispatched, we already had 1, 2, or 3 pieces of apparatus out. September averages out to about 52 and 48, so 52% of the time. Again, we've got 1, 2, or 3, or in some instances 4 pieces of apparatus out. And I bring that to you because, really every single time that happens, and I explained this at the HR one, so I'll do it here also. We start the day at 9 personnel. If we send an ambulance out with just 2 in it, we're down to 7. If we send an ambulance out with 2 in it again, we're down to 5. We send 1 more out, we're sitting at 3. That's scary. And if PA 17 says we should be 15 to fight a fire, we know we're not going to get that. But we know that with 5 personnel, we can make a grab or we can, effectively start to suppress a fire. And that's kind of our goal. That's why we ask for that 6. Number one, that gets us closer to that 15. It gets us to 13. And we can operate when we're at full staff at 13 at a fire because we've trained our personnel to be able to be that RIT team, that on-deck team, which really is our backup team, to be our RIT team, which are 2 of those 15. That's how we come to that 6, is try to hit that 13 number when we're fully staffed. What this also does is when we got those 3 out, we still got at least 5 people back at the station where if we get a fire, we can make a grab. We got 5 people, an officer, somebody to run the pump, and a 3-person team to be able to go inside and start that suppression or make a grab. And that's really the goal, is to keep our people safe. Even like yesterday, Actually, Derek was in charge yesterday. Give you another example, 1300, we got paged out. 1302, we got paged out twice. 1304, another one. So in 4 minutes, we had 4 pieces of apparatus out. And if it wouldn't have been the middle of the day, Derek would have been there all by himself. But we were lucky it was 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Jason and I were there. So we had 3 people back at the station at least. Luckily, we got some people back, but in the middle of the night, we don't always get people back. So he could be sitting there with 1 by himself. So that's really the reason why we're asking for that 6. Number 1, get us closer to that magic number. We're not always going to get it, we know it, but it's to get us to a point where instead of 50% of the time, we're at low numbers, we're reducing that amount of time. It also is going to save us some overtime. I looked before last meeting. I didn't look up until now, but we were already at like $100,000 in overtime. And we're tracking that if we would have had a 12th tier. So we have 11 tiers. If we would have had 1 more person on each shift, that 100,000 would have been saved. So in looking at it also, if we have 13, we allow 2 people off. So we get the 3 in the budget, and we get the 3 with the SAFER grant. We start with 13. We allow 2 off on vacation. That leaves us 11 when we're on vacation mode. Even if the battalion chief calls or takes a vacation day, we don't have to call in. Right now we're at 9. We are at 11, 2 people off. Battalion chief calls in, we have to call in somebody for a 24-hour shift. That's overtime. Somebody calls in sick, then we're calling in 2. We start the day at 13, 2 on vacation, battalion chief takes off. We still have 10. Our minimum staffing's 9. Somebody could still call in sick if that happens, and we'd still be at 9 and not calling anybody in for that 24-hour shift. So there's a lot savings, quite a savings there in overtime besides on top of it. I guess with that and the presentations we've made to both you and HR committee prior to, be willing to take any questions if you'd like.
I got one.
Jake.
Maybe for Derek. How many of those apparatuses yesterday left the city? Or are they all 4 in the city? Okay, thank you.
Jake.
Thanks, Matt. So you just said the $100,000 savings. So these 2 positions you think will eliminate, I know it's hard to predict, but the majority of this overtime?
If we'd had 1 more position, that 100,000 that we were tracking, that 99,000 that we were at, if we'd have had 1 more position, that wouldn't have even happened this year.
Completely, no.
The only thing we track there is anytime we had to make a call in, or we had to call somebody back for a 24-hour shift because we dropped below that 9. So a 12th person wouldn't have had us drop below that 9.
Okay. I had another question, but I forgot what it was, so I'm sure it'll come back.
If I could just expand on what you're saying there. You're saying 1 more position, not 1 more tier, right? That $100,000 covers 1 more position, 1 person.
No, I think he's right. The 100,000 itself would cover 1 person using Tim's number of 100,000 per firefighter.
Okay, all right.
But if we had 1 more tier, we could have saved $100,000, yes.
But that tier is 3 firefighters, correct?
Exactly. And, Tim's the one that's probably got the magic numbers, but I am pretty sure that we have got the money from what we've done so far and the savings from that overtime. I know Tim shared some stuff with Matt and Mayor and I of what our collectibles have been this year so far. And I guess Tim is probably a better person to talk to that right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, we switched EMS billing providers back in April, so I'm kind of working with 2 different billing agencies and trying to project, what the 2023 ambulance revenue would be. And right now, it appears that our collectibles are up about, what we're collecting in actual cash is up about 23%. And right now, I'm projecting about a $228,000 increase in ambulance revenue for 2023. But shortly, I'll be updating those numbers from LifeQuest, and I'll update that. And 228,000, and at least the 12th tier net costs, and the net cost is taking in, obviously wages and benefits, and all, holiday pay, all the other stipend type pay that they receive, less savings and overtime. I'm looking at a net cost of about $198,000.
Just clarification, Tim, you're saying 228,000 to fund that?
That's
that
what I'm
third-
projecting for additional ambulance revenue above and beyond what was in the 2022 budget.
228.
Yes.
So then if we take into the account the 100,000, that's 328,000 to help fund that 12th tier.
The net cost, the 12th tier, I factor, that's the net cost. I'm factoring in overtime savings
Okay.
into that number.
All right, I think.
So the net cost is all the wages and benefits and all the different pays, less savings and overtime to offset.
But that net cost, you said, was 198,000.
198,000.
I'm sorry. So the net cost is 198. That's for 3 on the tier? For
Correct. That's 3 firefighters, yes.
3 firefighters.
Yep.
And then we have
EMS,
the
paramedics, yeah.
money coming in above and beyond what we were getting paid and the
Right,
savings
based
the-
on, the Medicare reimbursement rates going up.
Yep.
Obviously, we increased our ambulance rates earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And just hopefully with the increase in the collectibles for the new billing agency, that right now I'm projecting about 228,000
Okay, thank you.
additional.
Does anybody else have questions? Dean? Patrick?
I've been looking at some older budgets, and so with that additional on top of this year's, correct? This year's budget, that would be 228,000 additional. So if you go back to the 2012 budget, they're still within a 25% increase with that additional $228,000.
Thank you. Jay, did you remember? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Just another point, and there's a variable that's going to be next year too, and we don't know the actual date, but remember Governor Evers signed that bill for Medicaid that'll make Medicaid reimbursements the same level as Medicare, which is going to be a considerable amount of money coming into the city also. We just don't know the date that's going to enact, whether it's January or February or March, but it's projected sometime in that first quarter that will start. So
Thank you. Jay?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
Yeah, I think we got to get it to the full council, in a couple of weeks, so.
All right,
Go ahead.
I'll move to approve 6 firefighters, 3 through the grant, with the understanding that if the grant is awarded, that you will reapply for that grant in 3 years. And that's my motion. 6 firefighters total.
Mr. Mayor, so city clerk's not here. It kind of falls on me to,
I'm taking note.
you're writing it down. Thank you, sir. All right, so you have that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I move to vote. Oh, sorry. Dean seconded. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it.
thank you for all your hard work and the time you took listening and asking good questions for this. I know it's an important decision, but it's just as important on our end also, because it makes each one of those members that much safer when they go to work. And that's what's most important to me. I mean, obviously finances are important too, but I'm kind of thought or knew that we were going to have the funds to be able to do it with what we've done, and that's the only reason I came and asked, is because it's needed, and I thought we had the funds to be able to support it. So again, thank you to all of you.
Well, thank you for your time, Chief, and please pass that on to all the men and women working with you.
On behalf of like the membership, and I guess not just the membership, but I should say line personnel, and this includes the battalion chiefs, which obviously aren't in the union. They, like I reiterated in the Human Resource Committee meeting, that we have a really good workforce in our fire service, and they work hard every day, and they're out there nonstop, and your vote to approve this means a lot, and it's going to mean a lot to keep our younger membership here, as there's lots of opportunities across the state where in this service, and as in any public service right now, or protective service, I should say, you can pretty much pick what city you want to go to, and this vote's going to go a long way to our younger membership, keeping them in the city where we need them. So thank you on behalf of all of the line personnel.
Thank you. All right. Item number 3, consider a request from the fire department to negotiate the upcoming contract renewals for Village of Port Edwards and Town of Saratoga. Chief Eckes.
I guess we're the bothersome one tonight. I actually received a phone call this week from the Village of Port administrator asking to begin those talks. So I think they just want to get ahead of the game. Sometimes they like to extend contracts so they don't got to worry about bothering with it at the end too. So actually, I talked with Sue Schill today. She was asking about this, and let her know what the plan was. Basically, we just like to meet with them and explain to them how we came to our number, our per capita number, because it is a big jump for them. I mean, it's doubling what they were before. I think they're going to understand it with the costs have gone up in the way they are, but it's always easier and always better to be able to discuss that before we just plop a contract down in front of them and ask them to try to sign on the line. That's one of the reasons why, 6 years ago when Saratoga and the Village of Port came to us, was their prior ambulance service, just with no warning, no heed, doubled their rates, no reason or no definitions as to why, and I just want to avoid that. I think we've got a good thing with them. It's good income for us, and it's good for them. I mean, especially with what's happened, I know that going down in there might take some time away from the people, our rigs and stuff as we go down there, but, what options did they have? It's being a good community partner. Those people also come and spend money in our city, supporting the taverns and the restaurants and the grocery stores. So, just to ignore them would not be good either. So I think a good community partner does just what we're asking to do, is go and explain it to them and give them the opportunity to, extend their contract. So that's why I'm asking, is that we get the permission before we go down and talk. Both them and Saratoga are not due till 2024, so it's a year yet, but, the sooner we talk, the better.
Anyone have a question or comments? You want to get your mic out?
Yeah, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments? I just want to say I think it's good, Chief Eckes, that you are looking ahead and having the conversations now. It definitely makes for good relationship building and doing it the right way. Can I ask how much it's going up, or is that still a negotiation?
Well, we don't know. I mean, my plan and what I think, when we get to that point and talk with Sue, is they'll probably start where the ones were last year started. So that would be a double and a half of what they have. So right now they're at the end of 2024, they'll be at $10.50, and they would be starting at 25, and that's what the other ones, the Buren, the Town of Port, Town of Cranmore, and city of Nakusa started at, so
Okay.
I think that's only fair that that's where they start also.
I see with your, the sheet that you gave us here on in-service time by jurisdiction, that does help shed some light on how long it takes. It looks like, depending obviously on how far out it is, but 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back, up to 20 and 20 back. That's kind of what you thought it was and how that plays into.
Yeah, obviously, the deeper into the town of Port we go, the longer it's going to be, but as you look at that, I mean, going into the village of Port and even the city of Nakusa, sometimes the runs aren't even more than 5 minutes longer than what we are in the city. It is 35 minutes or 40 minutes that we're not in the city, but it's also, like I said, good income for the city, and it's just being a good community partner, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the contracts will have to come back to finance for approval, so
Okay.
you'll be able to see that.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering where that was headed. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? I have a motion and a second. No comments, no questions. Move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, Chief Eckes. Item number 4, consider for approval the appointment of Catherine R. Qualantan as successor agent for retail Class A fermented malt beverages and retail Class A intoxicating liquor licenses for Aldi Inc., Wisconsin, doing business as Aldi number 8 for the premises located at 1211 8th Street South. All things are in order before they get to us. So at this point, I would, if there's any questions or comments? Seeing none, or Mayor Blazer?
Just a little further information. Usually it's like a new manager or something like that, which would cause a change of agent.
Okay,
It's just simple paperwork change.
all right. Any other questions or comments? Dennis?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just that local ordinance that the person was convicted, is that anything to be concerned with?
If it would have been the chief, would have denied it. If it would have been the chief, would have not signed off. Yeah.
Yeah, we asked that question in the past on a couple other ones, and they said the time limit was up on it, so everything was in order. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Item number 5, audit of the bills. Jay?
I'll make a motion to approve check number 14-2, 646, I believe, or 616, Tom? I can't read my own writing. To 14-515.
Second.
Do we want to get the numbers straight?
I think it's 142616.
All right. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Item number 6, 2023 budget discussions. I feel like we're going to be talking about that soon. Does anybody have anything they want to say now? Mayor Blazer?
I don't know if this would be the time if, do you want to discuss whether or not future meetings are held at the finance level, or do you want to push that maybe to a committee of the whole when the individual department head meetings meet? I know historically in the past, the finance has done it, but I just want to make sure that, if finance does do it, that all council members can participate at that time. or would you feel more comfortable at a committee of the whole level? I just want to make sure that we don't end up, in November and council feeling that they didn't have the opportunity to participate ahead of time. And
Right.
I don't know if it's finance meeting or committee of the whole would be that proper place, or where you'd feel more comfortable having that discussion.
So to understand what you're asking, do we want it at the finance committee meeting where everybody's welcome, but we still have just the committee members, or have it a committee of a whole where everybody's on the same, can speak their piece?
Correct. And you can speak your piece at the finance, but technically only the finance members would be making motions at a finance committee meeting versus a committee of the whole. Anybody could make that motion or a motion. I just want to make sure we don't end
Yep.
up in November.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Jay?
So if we did this at a committee of a whole meeting, most of these budgets that, we're not approving them that night anyways, correct?
You technically could make motions to change things on the budget. Or-
At tonight's meeting, you're saying. Technically, we could make motions, or it's not just a discussion.
You can make motions at committee of the wholes also, but
Okay.
finance meeting, you can make motions if you wanted to make some adjustment on a budget or change something or give some direction, saying that this is what you're directing through a motion.
And that can be done with the committee of the whole.
Correct.
I guess my take on it is, it's like you're saying, Mr. Mayor, everybody's got it. I know they can talk either way, but at a committee of the whole, everybody says their piece, and by the time we're done with that budget, specific department budget, we're kind of done with it. And Dean, did you have a question about tonight, or?
Well, no, I'm just saying, if we are just waiting to, I'm perfectly in favor of the entire council being involved.
Yeah, the only problem we would have there is if people weren't able to show up on a continual basis, not necessarily having a quorum, but
Correct.
chances are good we would still have one, I would think. But that would be a risk we run.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think if a committee of the whole option is the way to go, then I think, dates should be sent out that we're looking at these dates. And if people can't make it, then we'd have a better idea if people weren't available, or, technically they could appear by Zoom too, if there was concern about, a quorum. Do you see an issue with that, Tim, or a preference?
No, obviously, if there wouldn't have to be a quorum,
Oh, that's true.
you can still have a discussion. You
Yeah.
just wouldn't be able
Yep.
to take any action on
Right.
it. And, maybe that's something for when we get it, after this meeting, the committee of the whole can discuss kind of with the whole council, like how they want to go about it, and maybe setting some dates. One thing I'd like to do with the finance right here now is that just kind of confirm the date for the public hearing on the budget, because I have to get a notification of that 15 days prior, and so I would just, and usually the third, the regular council meeting in November, when the council takes action on approving the budget. And I do believe that Thursday before that, we would have the public hearing. That'd be November 10th. And is that good with everyone, that we set the public hearing for November 10th? And then that way it's on the calendar, and I can make sure that I get the notification in the paper, because it has to be by state statutes published 15 days prior to the meeting.
Right. Does anybody have any comments about the date that is being proposed by Tim?
Works for me.
All right, works for me also. Did we want to set that at a committee level? No, or just talking it through?
Maybe just make a motion to set the public hearing on the budget for
All right.
Thursday, November 10th.
I move to set the public budget hearing for November 10th.
Second.
Pardon?
What time?
That'd be an evening meeting, 6 or 5? 5 o'clock.
Second.
Oh.
Does that work for you guys?
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. So back to the budget discussions itself, is there any other questions we want to talk about now as opposed to waiting for the budget discussions tonight?
Well, it seems like the consensus was that the committee of the whole doing this is a good idea, so it'd be kind of, I don't think we want to discuss anything that's going to cause a motion now that it's going to be possibly having motions at the next meeting.
Okay.
If that's the consensus, Jay, is that your?
Yep.
Yeah, so if
Okay.
that's the consensus, I think we might as well move it to the 5 o'clock meeting, it's only 20 minutes away.
Okay, then no further motions need to be had, so we'll move on to item 7, set next meeting date. Next meeting date, first Tuesday of the month is October 1st.
November 1st.
It's October now, isn't it? November 1st?
We know what you meant.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I might be out of town now.
Now we move this to 4 o'clock because we're going to have the meeting of the whole. Normally it's at 5, correct? Do we want to go back to 5 in November?
Whatever works for you, Matt and Dean.
I'm not able to attend the meeting on November 1st
Okay.
next month, so if the following Tuesday be okay?
Only Tuesday we're starting to get into.
Mr. Mayor?
Also, you might consider leaving at 4 and then doing a committee of the whole at 5 afterwards throughout, so you could technically have your finance meeting, before a committee of the whole. If you do committee of the whole at 5, then do your finance meeting at 4, because you're going to have several committee of the whole meetings to go through some budgets.
Yeah, question, are we looking at the rest of October being done with these, the budget discussions, or into November also getting them done before the 10th? I guess that it depends on how everybody can get together at that point.
Yeah, the sooner the better we start them. So we should probably have them, we should be picking dates in October.
Yeah. Are we looking,
I
No.
might be.
okay. Are we looking to be done by the city council meeting in November? Wait,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was going to say in October, or are we going to
No, I think you could run it up through November.
November 10th?
Yeah, the
Okay.
beginning. No,
Not
we'd
that
like,
late, but yeah.
yeah, probably the end of October through this month here would be nice.
Yep.
And then it'll give a little time to kind of get things dialed in and be ready for the public hearing then.
Okay. So if we keep the November 1st, Dean said that he'll
Yeah, I could Zoom if I'm.
zoom in, so
I
we'll
might
keep
have to
that.
Zoom, but
And I'm fine with 4 o'clock.
I guess the only thing is if we're gonna piggyback that with a committee of the whole and you're not gonna be here,
Let me go off the record for a second call. Pretty sure we're gone.
I guess we could schedule a finance meeting right now for that evening, and then if we can't do the committee of the whole that night, we can come back to that. We can do that in the next meeting.
All right. I mean, you want to check or?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you want to hold this thing?
Yeah. That's all right.
Look at the calendar with it. Tuesday being the first.
Okay.
Matt, we can look at calendars tomorrow and find out room schedule assignments here for court and go from there. If we have to. Yeah, we can kind of coordinate tomorrow if you want. Then we can look at the calendar with the schedule.
Okay, so as of right now, for the Finance and Property Committee meeting next November 1st at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll talk with Committee of the Whole on the rest of the meetings that we're going to be setting up.
They don't have to be directly
All right. All right. Problem. All right. So item number 8. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, say nay. So be it.